Hey, how's everyone doing today? Alright, for this video we're going to be talking about how to take your silhouette and then fill it in using different values and using that to sketch out some designs. So the first step that we're doing is we're taking our silhouette, we're going to lighten and color it. This makes it a lot easier to fill it in with darker values. The darker values help bring out some of your shapes a little bit better, and just allows you to work a little bit faster. So here we're going to start out, we're going to be drawing an orc, another orc from 40k. We're going to be doing some quick block-ins with the value, just really rough and dirty, nothing too clean, just so that we can get a brief idea of what it's going to be. So you see you got the head goes in, a rough idea of where the torso and the legs are, and then we're going to go in and start cleaning that up and try and get a better idea of what everything's going to look like. And as we do this, we just want to be thinking about what areas are going to be getting the most light and what areas are going to be getting the most shadow. So if it's a bent over, hunched over character, most of the shadow is going to be in the midsection and torso area. Most of the light's going to be on the shoulders and the arm. Alright, so now we're going to go in and we're going to start working on the face. Start adding in just the tiniest hint of what's going to be there. We want to have a little bit of a nose where most of the light hits on the face, as well as the forehead area. And then we're just working in just little rough details just to add a little bit more information. Nothing too fancy or detailed. And then we're going to go in here and we're going to shrink the head, because right now the head's way too big. It looks more like a goblin or a gremlin with the current proportions. And we want to make it look a little bit more like an orc with a slightly smaller head and larger shoulders and arms. So easiest way to do that, just shrink the head down. Makes the rest of the body look bigger. Then we go back in to define things a little bit better, refine that face shape a little more. Now that we have the head refined a little bit and have a better idea of what our character is going to look like, we're going to start cleaning up some of these shadow shapes just to help define what those forms are doing. So just making it look like the legs are cylinders instead of flat blobs. Go in there, work it out a little bit. Then we go up to the shoulder and do the same thing. Try and make the shoulders look a little bit more rounded instead of just being flat blobs. Here we noticed a little issue with the shoulder pads, so we're going to fix that real quick. Have it come out looking a little bit more accurate. Alright, so we have the basic thumbnail done. Now we're going to make it look a little bit nicer, so that if we show it to people or need to share it with an art director or a client or anything, they can actually understand what's going on in the drawing and kind of what to expect from it. So right now it's kind of a little too rough for most people to understand what's going on. So we're going to go in and adjust things and refine things and add details. So this next step takes a little bit longer, but that's when you really start seeing exactly what's happening with the forms and get some more personality out of the character you're designing. So when you're thinking about what details to add to your drawing, some key things to keep in mind would be what sort of emotional state is your character in? Like, what's their default emotion? Is it happy? Is it sad? Is it angry? With this orc here that we're drawing, the default emotion is going to be probably anger. They're probably going to be looking to fight all the time. So when we add details and things like that into the sketch, we want to try and show that through the details that we add. So going to have a scowl on their face. Probably going to have some sort of armor with something that makes it look mean, so like spikes or pointed parts. You could also have things just sort of tacked on or drilled on to make it look like it was broken in battle and they just fixed it quickly with whatever material they had around. You can see the face here. I tried doing like a one eye missing with a little scar over it. Probably change that a little bit later in the drawing, but it's just a quick idea I tried. We also did a sort of jaw piece that the orcs like to wear and have the spikes on it just drilled in with a nail of some sort, just to add to that feel of it being battle worn and fixed multiple times with whatever cheap materials around. So these are just things to keep in mind as you're adding detail. Like what sort of emotion or characteristic do I want to portray visually with my details? So as we go through here, we're going to go back to the shoulder pad, and again, one of the things I like to do when I'm drawing is trying to think about the character traits, and an easy way to show that is to add spikes. I mean, sometimes it's overused, kind of becomes a joke at some point with certain things, but I mean, it's hard to go wrong with spikes for an orc. So add some spikes to the shoulder pads there, just to add to the theme that he's a bad guy or he's mean or angry, just so the viewer gets the idea. We're going to start adding a little bit of extra detail to the arm, adjusting the shapes a little bit, just so that the forms read a little better and you can really understand what's going on with the musculature of the arm. We want the shoulder to read, we want to see where the biceps sits, and we want to kind of see all those little details just to help bring out the form better. It's a lot easier to do if you have some good reference. I like to have a little bit of anatomy reference with the light source, matching the light source in my drawing. So right now we have light source coming slightly from top right of the orc, so I would find some reference of a guy standing with his arms sort of in a similar posture, and the light source coming from the top right. This makes sketching out your details and your forms a lot easier because you can see what the shadow shapes do, and you can see kind of how everything looks in the dark side and in the light side. So as you sketch, you can make sure everything is accurate. The more accurate things are, the more realistic it's going to look, and the easier it's going to be for the viewer to understand what they're looking at. As you sketch, you want to be thinking about, how can I make this more clear so it's easier for the viewer to understand what they're looking at. Now we're going to keep refining, keep trying to add clarity, and finding opportunities to add a little bit of detail here and there. Also going to sketch it. We're using a little bit of hatching just to give a slight effect of a mid-tone here, even though technically we just have a dark and a light. We can kind of cheat a mid-tone in there with some hatching. So we're just going to add a little bit of that in. Now we're going to start adding some details to the face, trying to find even more opportunity to add character. We really want to add character to the face. That's the first thing people look at. It's the first thing they see. So you really want to spend as much time as you have available on the face to get the point across of what you want. I want to get across that this character is a angry, sort of always ready to battle type character. He's an orc, you know, obviously he wants to chop things up and smash things, so we're going to keep adding some details to the face. Really want to get this across that he's angry, so we're going to really give him a scowl, a couple scars on his face, you know, maybe some marks that show that he's been in lots of battles. Anything to get across the idea that, you know, there's an angry character. So that's what we're going to be working on. Just add a little bit here, a little bit there. slowly it sort of starts coming together. Next thing we're going to do here is we're going to add a darker value, put on a multiply layer, and just paint in the armor area and everything that's going to be a different material than the orc's actual skin. So right now everything's kind of one color, one value, so it's kind of hard to tell where the skin starts and where the armor starts. And this is just a quick, easy way where you can break out the armor from the skin, just a hint at the fact that these are different materials. So skin's one material, armor is a separate material. Just a nice quick little thing you can do in your sketches just to help add clarity. Then we go ahead and lighten the skin up a little bit just to help separate it out from the armor, give it a little better of a read. And then our final step is just adding some highlights just to help pop the face out a little bit, to add a little extra polish to our sketch. It doesn't take too long, just a few highlights here and there can really help bring a sketch together. And that'll wrap things up here. If you have any suggestions for future videos or questions about anything, feel free to leave them in the comments. Try and get back to everyone and answer their questions the best I can.